Good afternoon, good evening, and maybe possibly good morning to some people. Let the madness begin. William Coleman, my Sean Taylor. Welcome back. Glad to be in the building.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute, but I had a great experience while I was away. So I mean, it's just a wonderful. I don't know. I feel. I don't know. Different. It changed. Somewhat changed. As far as I don't know. Just things a little different. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience. I keep saying that. For those who know, military leadership school or can be very well. You know that as well. Come on, I speak up on it. You could be very tedious. It can be very challenging. Uh, I said, this is me. I had to return to this course. Long story short, but I mean, yeah, I'm glad this go around was a better experience than I had. Met some wonderful people. Had a wonderful instructor. Um, a wonderful facilitator at that, and he facilitated more than what was on POI. I put it that way. It was just like, and that's why I came about this subject of, are you being the best you each and every waking day on this earth? And I know we spoke about this before, so revisiting again, which it gave me, I think, sort of a recharge mentally on just going with the flow of things, because a lot of times I think we get caught up in, and I find myself doing, no matter how much I preach it, um, getting caught up in the things that we can not control, quote unquote, instead of just going with the flow. And it kind of brought me back to that, where, hey, you only can control what you can control. If it is your control, God laughs every time we make plans, and it is so true. And I plan to go this course, return to this course with so many times, and before you know, at the last minute, hey, Ace, sorry, Coleman, you had to be in such and such place at such and such time. Well, you had to be at Fort Lee, Virginia on Friday, the 10th of February. So I mean, we oftentimes, um, I got a lot going on, but I just, for some reason, son told me just relax and go. And the first day of class, this individual was just different from what and I think I've learned a lot about myself, and there's more to learn, which I kind of knew anyway. But even still, we kind of learned the sense that vulnerability is not bad, not such a bad thing, you know. And in the 14 other individuals I was in this class with, kind of drew a kinship in a way that we've been communicating ever since we parted ways. And it's a great, wonderful thing to meet people that are from different walks of life, that support you, not just the people that I deal with all the time on a consistent basis, but people, total strangers, that you know them wholeheartedly, but you have a better sense of another person that you've never crossed paths with. And out of maybe 30 people, I knew three people, no, two people, two other people out of 30 people. And that's just out of the two classes combined. And then there's broken up. I'm sorry, 31 people. We was broken down to 15 to 16 people out of the other. Yeah. In my actual class itself, I only knew one other person out of that class. So I mean, but even then, me and that individual grew even tighter, even closer. And that may not be as close as you and I, or anybody else, but still, you get a better understanding of each other when you kind of let your walls down, your guard down, and just learn not everything about you, but certain parts about you be known to people you don't even know. And then, like I said, and the instructor's message is always, every day wake up. Yeah, it's always a blessing, but you always put your best you forward, even if it's 25, even if you feel that 25%, put that 25% forward. If it's 75%, put 75% forward every day. If it's on that day, because you're not going to be 100% every day. We're not 100% all the time. There's going to be days when you're not feeling like getting through the day, but guess what? You still got to push through the day, but guess what? Give everything you got. And you'd be surprised what you can accomplish when you give everything that you have in you on that day. So, I mean, I think a lot of times we often forget that message. We say, we often say that every day waking is another day blessed, but we don't live as if it is that is the case. And I think we need to get. I think, like I said, I've decided to get back to that and try to stick with that as much as possible and try to remind myself of that. I think others as well should also live the same way. I think we all should, because I think the world be much easier, regardless of things that are going on now in the physical world. I think, emotionally, spiritually, we I think it'd be a little bit easier on ourselves as beings on this earth, interacting with one another. Would you like to elaborate, Mr. Marshawn Taylor?
Okay.
Or how do you feel about what I've said in a sense?
No, I agree. The one thing I add to it is you have to define what is best for you.
True.
And I think that's what gets lost in everything, is the fact that you undersell yourself, or you feel like yourself is not good enough because of the way everything around you operates. And I think a lot of times that's what happens to people when they say put your best foot forward, because what you may consider your best, if you allow somebody else to dictate it, then you may never really feel like it's your best, because they may never take it as your best. So I always say that you make sure that that foundation is set for you, and anything that you do, make sure that you know what your best is and that you're comfortable with it despite of.
Okay. So do you feel, because do you agree that you're not going to be 100% every day, but give whatever you have a full effort of what you have, and that full effort towards the day?
Yeah, I do.
So necessarily your like I said, your best foot forward may not be a full 100%.
Right.
Okay. So do you think that, do we sell shorts because of how we feel, or we think about it too much and we just because they be feeling that 10% and you only give 5 or 1% of that 10%?
You know what? I think this is a good example. There are people right now who feel like their lives are less than anything, because they have people around them that say, if you're not working on 5 jobs, have 5 businesses, if your children are not this and not that, then your life is meaningless. You're not doing it. If you didn't invest in Tesla 20 years ago, but they're like, but I'm putting my best foot forward.
Yeah.
I'm working a job that's providing for my family.
Okay.
I may not be a millionaire, but I'm not living paycheck to paycheck.
You living comfortable.
And is that my best foot forward?
I think so. Because the thing, and remember we discussed, I've always said my thing is you decide what your level of success is, not that other people. And I think that's what we get caught up in, keeping up with the Joneses and all that. Because you sit there and you look at somebody that has, like you said, the house, the cars, and whatever else, they go on these elaborate trips. A lot of times, like you said, they live in check to check, living hand to mouth, struggling how to make sure they keep the bills, and then they can keep up the appearance of doing things and these appearances or whatever, not knowing that what they got to do to rob Peter to pay Paul, and then whoever else,
right?
To do what they got to do to keep up an appearance, and you're right, but you got to prioritize what you feel is your success, because you and then you should always start with how you feeling with yourself inside. If you feel it internally, I think it'll outshine what's going on externally. It'll show.
So on the flip side of that, what we don't talk about is when you do try your best and you still come up short. Are you okay with that?
That's on the person, because the thing is, you should always look. Because whenever I failed anything, whenever I failed a few times, and I'd say I'm successful with everything. A few things I've always failed at. I rehearse everything I went through possible on my end, because a lot of times it could be the perfect plan, but something could always go wrong.
Right.
Things don't go as we rehearse in our heads. Like we said before, you tell God your plan, He'll laugh at you in a minute. Knowing, because He, like I said, the all-knowing, the universe, however you want to say it, how we put it forward, has other things for you in mind, regardless of what we may have it. Maybe and what we have in mind for us may be in His plan as well, but the way we go back in it may not be the way we want to do it, in a sense. But we should never let that be a setback. It should always be a learning moment.
Okay. I mean, I agree with that. I'm just saying because a lot of times when we say put your best foot forward, because let's use sports. Both teams' goal is to win.
Right.
Somebody has to lose.
You're right.
Does that mean that the team that lost did not put their best foot forward?
No,
even though we say that,
now,
even though we do that,
it tends to effort.
I disagree with that because you can't judge effort.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
Why you can't?
Because effort is dependent on the availability.
I
Because if that's the case, if a winner effort doesn't mean that their effort is more.
I disagree.
No.
I'll give you one example. Let's do a simple example. I know you're gonna love this example. Remember the first game, North Carolina and Duke played, right?
Right.
In Chapel Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I watched the game. You watched the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first game, who won the game?
Duke did.
Okay. Now, flash forward to the game 2 weeks ago.
Right.
The last home game, the last wonderful game. My question is, can you tell the difference in how North Carolina played in that game as opposed to when they played in the second game?
No, they played the same.
No, they didn't. They had the same game plan. They didn't apply themselves as much as they should have. Their effort wasn't as strong as it should have been.
But see, if you say that, then you're literally leaning to the point of saying that anytime you apply your effort, you will win.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because the effort. Because if you look at how, because I can't judge about how many points he scored.
That's what I'm saying.
But we're not doing it by the amount of points. But we're looking at how they passed more. They considered their shots, the ball movement more. They actually instead of standing around waiting for the ball to come to them, they actually removed. You know what I'm saying? They actually played a game. They actually played how I'm used to seeing the game being played, as opposed to the first game. Shot the ball, stand around, maybe get a rebound, look around, pass it. It wasn't, the game was much more fluid the second game around. The second time, their effort was more fluid. Everybody put in effort. They put in effort when they shot the ball on the first game.
Would you say the same?
They put in a team effort than they did an individual effort.
If they would have lost that game, would you still say they put in that effort?
Yeah, the way they played. If they lost the game,
but effort doesn't matter. If you
but not necessarily. But
you would say that
it does play a factor, though.
It can't, because if you would say that, if you said that
it does,
they had the same game plan and still lost, you would say that they gave, because we said that in a lot of people, a moral victory, even though they lost. Oh, they put in a lot of effort and a lot of grit. No. There
was no moral victory in that first loss.
No. But you have heard that. Like, oh man, they put in, man, what an effort, what a show out, but they still lost. So effort cannot be the judgmental of that, because if you could say that in a loss, you could say that in a win. So
but what you say is a moral victory, though. That's a moral victory. Either way, however you
tell me you never heard that.
Yes, I have heard that, but you know what it is? It's taking something like it's taking that moment and then making a positive to apply it to when that situation comes about again. Because I guarantee you, if that team that you said that had the moral effort applied themselves again, and then hey, if we made a couple, then they go back, we could have made a couple more points here. Instead of being so down about the loss themselves, they're saying what a good point is. Yeah, we made a moral effort, as in, hey, we were in the game, but what we need to do, make more points, more defense. It's always going to be something.
But that's even in the win. And that's what I'm saying. In life, the effort part cannot be the judge. It cannot be that kind of factor, because even in the win, and I'll say it like this: we have learned from people who have been around from Kobe Bryant to Michael Jordan, and you could probably throw Magic and something. They'll say that even in a win, they're still telling you what you did wrong.
Of course.
So they're still telling you, even though your effort was there to get the win, you could have improved.
There's always something. There's always something.
So that cannot be
effort. Can always be a factor. Effort always must be a factor. Because you got to know how much to apply yourself for it.
But so, like I said, it doesn't matter how much you apply yourself because you could still come up short.
You can come up short, but it's always gonna be a learning moment, my Sean.
No, but I'm not taking that away.
But hold on. But always keep in mind, because the opportunity is always going to approach itself. It's going to reapproach itself again. It always does. It's not going to be immediately. Maybe down the road.
But that's not what I'm saying.
The thing about it is, with the effort itself, you are having muscle memory of how much. You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying is, even with the effort, you still come up short. Are you going to be comfortable with saying that I gave it my all and I'm okay with the outcome?
It depends on the person. Because the thing about it, my son. No. I understand what you're saying, but the person's got to be, because the thing about it is you got to be secure in yourself.
Right.
For one, always be secure in yourself and the effort that you put forth. Now, if somebody were to, I can't be the one to judge. Because the thing about when we say effort, like you said, it's looked at it two different ways. Like I said, you felt like you gave 100%, but to me, it looks like you gave 20%. Right?
Right.
But in the long run, who's it going to matter more in the long run? To me or you?
To me.
To you. So if you know you gave your 100%, to me, like you gave 30, are you going to allow that when the opportunity comes again, you're going to allow what I said to hinder what you need to do to make a better effort? I mean, to make get a better result. Because like I said, you may not get the win next time. This time you may lose by 10. Next time you may lose by 5. And then you meet again, next time you might lose by 3. Like you said, next time you lose by 1 point. And then finally the next season comes around, you beating the brakes off them by 5, 10, 15 points each time you step on the court with whomever. But we should never allow somebody's external view influence how we look upon ourselves when we get that effort. Because that's a lot of times, and I think as kids, I think that's what we as parents and as we mentor people, a lot of times we question their effort, not asking. Because the first thing we should always ask is, as if I was a coach, how do you feel about how you did? Because you're gonna tell me how you felt, how you did, right?
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna say, you know what, I play like shit today.
Right.
Okay, well, you feel you could have done better, play better today. Hey, like I said, we did lose, but let's figure out everything we did wrong, what we can do better. Now oppose if you said now, because number one, I'm gonna see that you played the way you played horrible. But what it could have been the other way around. Like, no, you actually didn't play all that bad. Hey, you hit 7 out of 14, 50%. Hey, 50% guy. Hey, could be worse. Could be 35. You be at Westbrook 8% free 3-point shooter. I don't know since All-Star break, but it's on you to get comfortable with the effort that you give. And even if it's at 10%, that's all of you can give that day. Because somebody's gonna know when you're off. Okay, he's not in the regular. If somebody knows you enough, they're gonna notice it. They're saying, "All right, something not right with you today. What's going on with you, sir? Okay, why do you feel? Why you so everything all right? Everything good with you? Because athletes are like that. They would. Oh, so what's going on with you, man? That block you threw today was kind of suspect. What's the deal? Everything all right? You focus. You here in the game? We need you to be here in this game. Let us know what's going on with you. Hey." Hey, we might need help you with your blocking a little bit. We might have to, hey, get the running back to come off the, off the back for it and hit, hit up off the edge a little bit. We just little things, but as long as you feel you gave everything that you had that day, because like I said, you're not going to be 100% every day.
Right.
if your 100% that day is at a 10, let's not say 10%. Let's say levels. Let's say that at a 10. Because we say when you start saying percentages, people start. So we'll say you're at level 10 a day. You give your level 10 effort. It's gonna be shitty as hell. But hey, this is all I have today, fellas. So I mean, I'm sorry, I apologize. You know, but don't feel like you give don't. But you can't give 10 all the time and and expect people to accept that too. That's another thing as well. Because if you sit there and you give, if you're not giving your full 100, you know, or you're not trying to give more, or you're not trying to do better to give more, then I think sometimes we need to prioritize the importance of what we're doing in life, in a sense.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's what I learned a lot of. You know, you got to prioritize what's very important. So, but yeah, so I mean, we just like I think a lot of times I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm train of thought. Well, we oftentimes, you know, we forget what's really important to ourselves. You know, as much as things should be just important as family. You know, we don't prioritize ourselves at times too because we have families. You know, and I think a lot of times that does take away from our effort to things that are for ourselves, given that 10, that 20, the 30 extra, you know, when we're down at that 10, 30, you know, because, you know, you give so much of ourselves, you know, and then at times we hold back thinking that, oh, we may need another time. We actually might need a full effort. So, I mean, my friend, you're right. Effort doesn't guarantee victory, but it may lead you to a better path to that victory you're looking for.
And I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things you said, which is actually a contradiction.
Go ahead.
And that's one thing we do.
Right.
And you're not the first person that said it. We all say that. What if your effort is 100%, but it's not in God's plans?
How's that a contradiction?
Because you're doing what you believe you do. You're giving 100% to because you think you're supposed to have it.
Right.
But it's not in God's plans.
I wouldn't say it's a contradiction.
Well, you're going
because we often,
if it doesn't work out, what I'm saying is because we'll say I'm giving 100% effort. If it doesn't work out, God, it doesn't work out. And my thing is either it's God's plan or it's not. It cannot be I'm gonna do this and God's gonna be along with it unless it's in His plans. So no matter what effort you put into it, it may never pan out because it's not in God's plan, even though you're giving 100% effort. If that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. All right. So you're saying right now,
do you think being a single mother is God's plan?
Ooh, that's a good question.
No, it's not, because it goes against the Bible. So we will have to know it goes against the Bible.
So why are we talking about single mothers God's plan?
No. I'm asking because I'm about to bring it.
Oh, wait, go ahead. Bring it first.
If single mother is not in God's plans, even though you may think you're having success with it, quote unquote, your struggle and everything is because it really is not in God's plan. So no matter how much 100% effort you put into it, it's never going to pan out because it never was God's plan. Are you going? So the question is the fact of how do we get to the point where we know our purpose is in line with God's plan? Because no matter how much effort we put into something,
I go finish that first.
Because no matter how much effort we put into something, if it's not in God's plans, then it's never going to really pan out.
Okay. I would never say that. Now, what you're saying is, now, let's take out the whole single mother thing. Let's not try to, just like I said. It's easier said than done. It's easier said when you realize it than actually living it. When certain things that you set out to accomplish fall in line. It's not going to be perfectly, but they fall in line in a certain matter of how They say how they're spoken into or prayed about, or if they're in line, if they fall in line of how you would like things to go, in a sense, at times, I think that's at times that's how we know. But even sometimes we get to where we're going, not necessarily by the way we know how to get there, but by ways that are not oftentimes navigated. So and that's why oftentimes they say we're supposed to take it unbeaten paths at times, because at times the path that's been taken all the time, it may not be the right way. It may not be the correct way to get there all the time, in a sense.
But even if you say taking the unbeaten path, that's God's design for your life.
Okay. But even
I mean, I'm asking because if we can't,
let's say minus the whole single mother thing.
No, that was just using
thing.
That was just. I mean, I don't care if anybody get mad. It's just.
It's not a matter of people getting mad. It's just it's just a better.
It was a good analogy because truthfully, if we go off like you said, if go off the beaten path, even if it's in God's design, it's in God's design. But however, the reason why I asked the question is because we truly don't know our purpose.
No, we don't. Just want us to go and figure that out.
Right.
Whether it be the universe or God, whoever you feel. Yeah.
If you say, I know my purpose, I call you a liar, because there's no way for you to truly know your purpose, because to know your purpose you wouldn't do certain things.
I got you.
So we don't know our purpose. However,
but you still walk the path though, regardless.
No. I agree with walking the path. I always agree with that. And I do agree.
But and what I mean by unbeaten path is like for instance, you want to be a basketball player. You think, okay, you should high school, college,
right,
into the NBA. But not everybody makes it to the NBA that way.
That's true.
Right. Some say, hey, they go from high school to junior college to G League, maybe play overseas, and then maybe the NBA.
Yeah, Patrick Beverly.
So you have a very good point. And that's what I say. Let's not say necessarily God. Let's say the universe deems it possible for you to be there, but not necessarily in the way that you want to get there.
Okay. No. I agree with that.
Now, in the same thing, in the same time as you say about the single mother. Now, no, even though it says in the good book, this is against, that's just okay. There's a lot of things that go on in the book and go on in this world that's against what's in the good book.
Right.
There's a lot of things that go on, period, that's against what the universe deems, but those people still got to live their lives regardless of what's wrong, what's right.
True.
So let's say, we'll leave it at this. In the long run, you got to answer to higher power.
Right.
And I'll leave it at that. I like I said, there's some things I've got to answer for, things you got to answer for.
Of course.
But let that still be said. How's that take away from her being a good parent? Now, mind you, even though there's not a man in the house, how does it take away from her being a good parent?
Okay. Now, I can answer this very truthfully.
You got look, answer truthfully. We try to be truthful as possible.
Away from her being a full parent, because her part she will never be able to fully develop because the other part's not there.
I got you.
It will take away from that. Also, it depends on how that other part's not there. So one thing we could say, you cannot be a good parent if you kept the other part from being there. That's a contradiction. How good of a parent can you be when you forcefully kept the other person from being there? I'm not saying that's all cases, but if that's part of the case, you definitely not a good parent. All cases. So right then and there, that eliminates you from the conversation of being a good parent. You cannot sit up here and say, "Oh, she's a great parent," and then she's deliberately behind the scenes keeping the other parent away. And
Okay.
vice versa.
Right.
If it was a man doing it, you can't. So there's levels and things we have to look at to say, wait a second, of that. That's why I said, it's not in the plans, because if we really look at it, the design of, and just in that, just saying is for both parents to be involved in a child's life. That's the design. So you can never put your best foot forward in that situation, because your best foot forward won't be able to develop, because either you're overcorrecting for the other person not being there,
Okay.
or you're under.
Okay. So we look at it. So you feel that. So not to be funny, do you feel that way sometimes as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's certain things that I can't do.
Right. Okay.
And it's the truth.
Okay. So it's using experience.
Yeah, but
you still,
I'm able to admit to that.
Right. So but keep in mind, it does not stop you from being a good parent.
It keeps me from being the actual father I could be if
Right.
the balance was there.
Okay, it's understandable.
And that's what I'm saying.
Okay. That sounds a little more better now.
Because there's things I have to either overcorrect or I'm under.
I got you.
So I don't have the balance, and
So
that's with both the yin
but
and
what you're saying is sometimes you feel yourself. What's the Victoria said? Over parenting.
Oh,
well, I forgot the term.
Yeah, you either over or under.
Yeah, like you. Okay, yeah, I got you. Okay, I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. Okay, good point, man.
But
my question is though. But don't you wake up sometimes feeling like, oh, I didn't feel like this? But you give whatever you have to that little girl every day, right?
Right, and that's what you just said is why the balance, because not every parent gonna wake up feeling 100%, but the balance is the other parent.
Okay,
and that's the point of that balance. But in the sense of saying, okay, I'm gonna still get up and I'm gonna still give. That's why I'm saying, even though I may not feel like I gave 100%, I'm still going to give. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And that's why I said, will people be okay with, you know what? I gave it my all that I could give. That day, if it didn't pan out the way I wanted it to pan out, I'm okay with that. And that goes back to what I always say, even in relationships, or can you be okay with these decisions even if they don't pan out?
Right.
Can a person who what's the line? Better than Jordan, but didn't get no break. Can he be okay with not getting that break?
Right.
You brought up the last Duke game, Duke and North Carolina game. Personally, both teams gave maximum effort.
Right.
I still say North Carolina played a great game the first game. It just didn't pan out because of the emotions. The second game, the same emotions North Carolina felt in the first game, Duke had on their shoulders. You know why? And I said this. I said, you know what? I applaud them, even though in the loss, not as a moral victory. No, but the fact of the matter is, could you imagine giving your 100% effort, but looking in the stands and seeing the legacy of Duke?
Yeah.
Like
I was just saying, you're right.
Could you imagine seeing Trajan Langdon, Christian Laettner, Mr. Duke himself, JJ Redick, Jay Williams was there. I mean, Kyrie wasn't there. A couple of people because they were playing that night.
You don't count.
Elton Brand was there. I mean, you're not just looking at people who transcended at Duke, who transcended in the NBA, but some of these people went on to do great things in life. As far as just Trajan Langdon he's at the Pelicans. I mean, Danny Ferry was down with the Hawks. Elton Brand is with the Sixers. So you're seeing, and all of them just sitting there. And not just, I just named those players, but just the legacy of, what was it, 30 years at Duke or something like that?
Yeah, it's like 30 years. Like that.
Just how everybody just came in. And I looked at those kids, and I don't want to call them kids, but I looked at them kids. They probably felt like no matter how much they effort would they ever match up to that. And I didn't realize how much pressure were on them kids.
Yeah.
That was a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
That was
the
that was
home
the
game.
last home game
for Coach
against
K.
your rival. With literally, like
Right.
Jason Ritt never beat North Carolina. Like
Right.
his whole 4
That was
years in the
wonderful.
year, he never. Sheldon Williams was there,
Right.
and his claim to fame is having one of the sexiest baby mamas. Candace Parker, who's by the way a lesbian now, I'm sad, but. I mean, I sat back and I really thought about it. I say, you know what? They gave the best effort they could have gave, and even in the loss, they gave their best effort. Like this season, I actually was like, man, I felt like they didn't do their best. But when I sat back and I thought about it, from the start of this season, the only thing that was on this team was Coach K leaving.
Right.
So that means every game you played was a championship game because it was a sold out game.
Right.
Bad enough that your name is Duke, but now it's Coach K is leaving. Like every game you played was sold out.
Yeah.
And they came up short. They won the ACC regular season. I think so. I think they did. They came up short in the last game, and they came up short in the ACC tournament. Now we're asking these kids to go to the NCAA tournament to try to win
a national championship. Which is not going to happen.
I'm not going to say it's not going to happen.
Not
but I look at that and I'm like, their effort was there. It's just sometimes it's.
You think the execution maybe would have been? Because sometimes they can say your effort.
Execute. Of course, sometimes you got to, you can always have the best effort for execution. So I do believe in that at times. But I think sometimes we, as a society, and it's not just in sports, but in life, when we see people fail or come up short, we always tend to go to what they didn't do. And I think we need to change that to say what you did do. You got a lot of people right now, and I thought about this with my military career. All jokes aside, I've been thinking about this for the past couple of months. I felt my military career was a failure because I've been in E7 for so long. Now I was like, you know what? I could have been on the brink of Sergeant Major right now. The way the first 12 years of my career was, and then the last 8 was like slow. So I'm like, I'm a failure. I had to go back and really look at that last 8 years and say, Marshawn, you switched MOSs.
Right.
You did a broadened assignment.
Right.
You became AGR.
Right.
Why you feel like you're a failure?
I was about to say the same thing. And you got to look at another thing too. But go ahead and finish what you're saying.
But we get like that because depending on who you're around with society or depending on, who you're looking at, sometimes you forget to look at what you have accomplished and say, you know what? Yes, I have accomplished. I always say, when people say, I want to own my own business, I'm like, would you be comfortable with owning your own business, but it stays local?
Right.
Because it's still owning your own business.
Right.
Would you be comfortable with playing professional basketball if it's overseas? It's still professional basketball. You're still making money.
What it goes back to what I'm saying in the beginning. You decide your success,
and that's why I think. I think that's the problem we're having right now is the fact that people don't take time to look at their lives as success. Like, you know what, you made it. You done great thing. Now, that's not to say that you rest and say you don't do better, but that's where you say, I think that's where you get the energy to wake up every day to put your best foot forward when you're able to look at what you have accomplished.
Right.
And I think that's where we forget to look at what we have accomplished because we're so busy having everything from social media to maybe just being around people who, how many times we've been around people that's like, I work this, I do this, I got this. And you're just like, wow, I'm just working one job, I'm living good, I'm living good, but could I be doing more? No, you are doing.
Right.
Like, you're great, but because we get caught up with everybody,
we measure ourselves next to the next to us. And like I said, and I was about to say the same thing, Marshawn. And a lot of times, like I tell people, I think since we talk about military, I tell people Staff Sergeant was the best time of my life because I think I learned more. You know, no matter how hard I try to get Sergeant First Class, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that. Damn, I was Staff Sergeant for a long time, you know, and and I look back at it, it's like I learned a lot more, not only about myself, but as a military participant in the military,
Yeah.
you know. So I learned a lot on how to communicate, how put my best foot forward, and at the same time, how to put my foot down, how to express myself, you know. And I'm still learning to this day, and I wouldn't change it for nobody. Because that's the thing I was saying to you, because you probably learned a lot more. Like you said, you progressed so fast. You didn't take time to sit back and, okay, let me take my time. Even though you want to take your time, you want to get there fast, but you take your time and you learn more. You know, you could, you know, hey, you look up to more people. You have more. I want to say, what's the mentors?
You're right. I agree with you on that.
You get mentored more. You mentor others, you know. So, and I think you should apply that to anything in life. Like you said, what's wrong with having a local business, owning a local business, a successful local business? What's wrong with that? That's successful, you know.
And that's my point. But
you know, and what's wrong with you earning $100,000? You earning, not hey, you're on the plus side. Your business is $100,000 business, you know, after 5 years, as opposed to you in a hole 100,000, you know, every year.
No, I agree with you 100%.
After the 5 years, you know.
And that's why I love this conversation. And I know we're about to wind it down, but I think this is a part two, because I think it goes to a bigger thing. And honestly, I'm gonna say it, I think it goes to a bigger psyche with African Americans, because sometimes you feel like your success is not good enough.
But we know we go back to doing that. We want to be like the Joneses. We feel like if I'm out there rapping, I should be at the like Gucci Man, you know.
Right.
But no, dude, just sell enough CDs in your neighborhood, dude.
And I always said that, like, would you be if you could make money off of making music, but it's on a level where you're maybe state, maybe local, but is that failure?
Right. No, it's not. Because the thing about it is, if you get to a point where if you get 1,000 people a month to buy your CDs for $10,
that's how I feel. Especially if you only pay like 68 cents for them. I feel the same way.
Oh, you come on now, 1,000 people. That's 12,000 people a year. That's $10 CDs. That's $120,000 right there off the bat.
I agree.
That's just starting out.
And that's why I say, you know, I like the fact that, you know, you define your success, and more importantly, you be, you know, and I think being happy with what you have achieved in success is a great thing, because I do believe that you should put your best foot forward. Right. I honestly do believe that, because your effort today may not have done it, but keep doing it. It is muscle memory. So I do believe that, you know, if you can't lift 50 pounds, then you keep trying at 25 until you go to 30. And you work your way. You got to work your way. And I do believe in that, man. But we're going to go ahead and wind it down. Tomorrow on our show, we actually have Victoria. She's going to join us, and we have a great topic.
Really? Okay.
You want to know the topic?
What's the topic?
Where we at? I'll be writing down everything I'll be thinking about. Where is it? Oh, are relationships without expectations healthier? And I know, and I love it. I love that. That's gonna be our topic tomorrow at 6. Tomorrow at 6. That's what we're gonna do. And you said the same thing she said, but I actually have. I'm not saying I believe that they're not, but however, I actually have some great examples to use that y'all might be like, oh,
okay.
Also, we're going to talk about this other one, and it's not going to be tomorrow, but this is another one that we're going to talk about. Pimping Jesus. Where does the money go?
I know you affiliated with that one.
Okay. But we'd like to thank y'all. Of course, we're no longer broadcasting on Facebook. You will get clips on Facebook. You will get little thumbnails, but everything's going to be streamlined on YouTube and on toexposeyou.com. That way, you'll be more selective, and that way we could bring you in to see us, see all the great material.
All right, that works for me.
Please check us out on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us on Snapchat, Twitter. Please check everything out. Come subscribe to us. Just hang out with us.
Let them know we're out there. Let them know we're out there, people.
If you have questions, please feel free to send us questions. If you want to talk to us, please send us talk. If you don't agree, please come talk to us. As long as we could do it in a respectable manner. Got anything you want to add?
No, man. Like I said, everything that man said, keep your ear out, eye out, whatever out. What he said. Facebook, get the clips, streams here, postings everywhere else. Everything else, we'll see how it goes. So,
all right.
That's it, my son. That's it.
We're out.